guys, this is another installment of Bike Talk with BikeLane. This is the 11th episode where we'll be going over the history of the mountain biking. Mountain biking is a real fun sport. My name is Fernando.
This is Frankie.
Bummer.
I'm Ed.
And
Welcome.
This is BikeLane. Welcome, guys. Welcome. So, mountain biking has come a long way, definitely. So, let's start off with.
I feel like that's an understatement.
It has come a huge way.
Huge way.
Yeah, it has definitely. There is people that I used to see on YouTube people riding with no suspension at all. That's how even hardcore they got. So
You know what's the first thing I thought about when you said it's come a long way? There's 15 different style bottom brackets now.
You won?
Yep.
Last time I checked was
That's
15.
crazy. Everybody's making their own bottom brackets for their own bikes. That to me is
same exact thing.
They all do the same thing.
They should all just like stick to that one design.
Well, then it keeps kind of the bike industry stuck. There is no evolution.
No evolution.
Progression.
So let's start off with all the I would say categories of mountain biking. So I would
Categories as the riding, categories
as the
types.
styles of bikes.
Okay, the different types.
So
Well, before that, we will first have to start at the beginning.
What is a mountain bike?
And
mountain.
the first steps of mountain bike. You know, it's actually pretty funny because with mountain bikes, you're meant to use them on dirt, and pretty much in the earlier days, there was no paved roads. So would you consider those mountain bikes? You know, your
That's actually
everyday
a good
bikes.
one.
You know?
That's actually a good question.
That's good. But I was actually doing some reading. I hit the Wikipedia. And on the Wikipedia, they were pretty much talking about the evolution of the mountain bike and how it originated from road bikes. So, road bikes were like the most popular thing. People just needed a bike to get around. And that mountain biking was just kind of a fun thing to do on your bike.
That's a side thing.
Yeah, and that started out in pretty much the 70s, which isn't even that long ago. That's crazy.
It's like around the corner. Back that way.
It was wrong. Frankie, you remember back in the 70s?
I'm not that old. I'm an old school type of cat though, but I'm not that old.
But back in the 70s, pretty much road bikes were converted into mountain bikes. They put wider forks, kind of just cut them up, rewelded them, put a fatter tire on them, and started riding their bikes hardcore off-road.
Yeah.
I was like, one day, one guy was just riding down the road, and he's like, I see a dirt trail. I'm gonna ride that way today.
You know who's that
Yeah.
type of guy? A really freaking cool type of guy.
Yeah.
That guy wants to have fun on his bike.
It was actually a cool type of guy, literally, and I'm not joking. His name was Joe Breeze.
Yeah.
Joe
cool.
Breeze from Marin County, California.
Well, it wasn't just Joe. It
No,
was,
it wasn't
also
just
my
Joe.
man Gary Fisher
Yes,
and my man Richie, who's actually still active today.
100%.
Still
They
riding
are.
hard.
But Joe Breeze is basically the one. They say that he was the one that successfully did a high quality fat tire bicycle.
Oh
They
man.
actually coined him to be one of the top ones.
So Marin, and shout out to my man Herb, who is now the Marin rep.
Hey Herb,
Herb. So man.
You guys.
So Marin actually is the company that started mountain biking, but it still can be debated because there's a couple of people that were also touching on it. But Marin is the one who started off period mountain biking, and then also fat bikes. And fat bikes were pretty much made by welding two rims together and making a fat tire bike.
the fat tire bike actually used to be a balloon tire, 1-speed bicycle.
They were
That
also
actually
speed.
started before the 70s. It started in the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
And designs like that can even be found nowadays. For example, a PK Ripper, fat tire, single speed.
A mammoth.
Yes.
Like on our Instagram. Go check that out.
That's good.
So, when you do come to mountain biking, there is different ways to start off. So, how would you guys say that everyone should start off? Like, where would someone find their little base? Because there is several different people that do want to start off.
We have to take a step back and talk about what mountain bikes look like today now. So
Yeah, they have
mountain bikes have
changed a lot.
evolved a lot.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about bottom brackets? Same thing with mountain bikes. There's many different types.
Many different types.
There's
15.
different forks.
I actually didn't count. Wait, can we count?
I have 1, 2, 3, 5.
I have 6. All right. Let's name our 6.
Okay.
For starters, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Name one.
All right, for starters, we got cross country.
Cross country.
I
So-
have hardtail.
All right. So, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I have XC and Enduro.
Well,
Okay.
XC is cross country.
Oh,
So, your hardtail is gonna be also a trail bike.
You
So,
could consider that.
trail bike is a hardtail or dual suspension, and then you got your downhill bike, which is also a dual suspension. You have your dirt jumpers, which is like a big BMX bike now, and you have a lot of in betweens. So a fixed gear freestyle. I do that down as a mountain bike. I mean, it's kind of like a big BMX bike,
Oh, yeah.
but it kind of grew from mountain biking and BMXing, so it's both.
It's like a hybrid.
Yeah,
Between those two.
it's a child.
Right.
It's a product of society,
An evolution.
which is really cool by the way. Fixed gear freestyle is hardcore.
But I think some individuals will consider like you have the different type of riding, which a lot of people will consider cross country a type of riding, trail riding a type of riding, all mountain enduro racing a type of riding, and gravity, which is downhill a type of riding. When it comes to like the different type of bikes itself, a lot of people will consider just rigid hardtail and then dual suspension / full suspension.
yeah.
Well,
So
Can we?
These are the things that we're told we should consider.
Right.
That's not what it is though, because everything is evolving now. So there is a lot more than just 4 different types of mountain bikes. Because let's say a dirt jumper bike, that should have its own category. They're in the Olympics,
Right.
and they do crazy ass cool shit on their hardtail, super slack suspension up front bike. And then there's
I totally love dirt jumpers because our camera guy Mauricio, which received a dirt jumper from Ed, and he makes it look so much fun. It's like he got wings.
He
So
does.
that would be its own category. I actually like that.
And then another one that just dropped into my head is a slopestyle bike. A slopestyle bike is a dual suspension, also a dirt jumper,
Yeah.
but it has 2 shocks on it. That should have its own category. They shouldn't just be a trail bike.
Right.
It shouldn't just be a mountain bike. It can't just be a mountain bike, but mountain bike summarizes everything.
Yeah.
It's like what they're making it seem is like if this particular type of bike has this particular type of components, it's this category.
Right, which
That's
is
it.
not the case. It's
Right.
2019.
Exactly.
So then, since slopestyle dirt jumpers, they kind of have some characteristics of a BMX, so they definitely touch on each other, and that's what's real cool. Like you have the option of BMXing and having and riding a mountain bike. So it is pretty cool, definitely.
Absolutely.
And also with the where you go to ride these different types of bikes, it's all different. So that also falls into the different categories and why they should all be separate. Because let's say for a downhill bike, you wouldn't want to use that for riding in the street like you could use a dirt jumper.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, you
Whoa,
cannot
whoa.
say.
I
Who
know
said-
people who pedal these around in the
I
street.
know people that do that.
Maurizio?
Shut up.
Like
So,
a champion.
Let's talk about downhill bikes since we're on downhill
We're on
bikes.
downhill. Let's talk about
No,
downhill.
perfect guy. Downhill.
Oh! I happen to love riding my downhill bike. It's like the most exciting, dangerous, kind of stupid thing you could do on your bike.
It's considered adrenaline junkies.
Absolutely.
I would think so.
So, I live a pretty simple life. I work on bikes, I hang out with these awesome people, but then I need my excitement.
Right.
So that's when I'm like, I need to go downhill. Downhill for a lot of people is just like a weekend warrior type of thing. Like you go to the mountain, you go get your adrenaline pumping, and you go back home and you can do it again next week.
And then you get pumped during the week to go like downhill.
That's right. So your downhill bike is just an overbuilt trail bike, but it's super slack. So a slack bike means that it's super relaxed, where your head angle is super steep, so it's super pulled back. Your bottom bracket's really low, so you have a really low center of gravity. Because when you're going down the mountain, if you want to get crazy, you can do easily 30, 40 miles an hour down the mountain. That's if you're getting crazy. So these bikes need to be super stable, and as you're going down the mountain, they need to be able to take the abuse. So these bikes are built with super wide rims, really thick rims, really wide, fat tires.
Yeah.
And tires have evolved a lot, by the way, and they got
Yes.
really expensive.
A lot of different types.
Yeah, so now I'm a big fan of Schwalbe and Maxxis tires. Shout out to Schwalbe, right, the Magic Marys.
Schwalbe's actually very nice.
DTH.
So these bikes are just made pretty much to go really fast and be really stiff, but soft.
And
They're
stable.
plush.
Yeah, you want to
stable.
stay stable when going down.
Exactly. So they're really kind of just a one-trick pony. Like they're meant to go down and go big. Like
Yeah.
one of the recommendations I wrote down for people who want to see the crazy hardcoreness is watch the Red Bull Rampage contest that actually just passed. Those guys are on a different level though, but that's how you get an idea of what these bikes are capable of, because it's 2019 and these bikes can do some amazing stuff. Like people jump off 10-story buildings into a little berm and ride away like, yeah, that was nothing. And I'm like,
Let's go for
whoa.
a higher jump.
I could definitely attest to everything Ed said about the downhillness, as I like to say, because there's times during the winter is coming season that we actually take rides to Forest Park trails. And I've ridden Ed's transition bike, which is fantastic. So one of the main things that I always learned, and even with my bike today, is you have to trust the bike. Trust your bike.
Yeah, definitely.
And it is I'm not going to say a preference style, but it is a different style of riding that if your body wants it and gets used to it, you're going to keep wanting to do it. And it is fun though.
I would also say with trail riding and trail bikes, it does need a lot of focus. When you're going through those dirt trails, you want to be able to maneuver pretty quickly, go through.
Oh, it's a thing.
You know, you
It's
see
a thing.
see a mud patch, you know, coming up, you know, you like, you jump it, you go round
Everybody falls, by the way, and everybody slips and slides.
Everybody falls, no matter what you're doing.
Yes.
In any sport, any hobby, you fall, you
Yes.
get wrecked. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear. That this is a trail bike. This happens to be a transition. It's called the Scout. So wheel size, by the way. So wheel size for downhill bikes, it used to be 26. Now it's 27.5.
27.
There are some 29ers for those special guys.
Wait, don't forget the 24 and 26 combo.
Oh, that was super old school, but yes, there was 24 in the back and 26. That was actually to get the steeper head angles. So that was before they figured that we can just change the head tube angle.
Boom. My God.
But on trail bikes, so now a trail bike kind of has what is called like a neutral,
Like in between.
an in-between. So I was actually reminding myself of the head tube angles because there's so many things to remember, so I had to do some reading. And a neutral position, if you go and Google it, you're going to be recommended a 68 or 67 degree angle. So that's going to be the angle of the front, so kind of if it's back or forward. So 68 is kind of going to be a little bit back. Where downhill bike's going to be way further back, like 65 or 64, like way closer to you. And a trail bike is meant to be pedaled around more. Downhill bike is not meant to be pedaled at all.
Yeah,
No,
no.
mainly, what's it called? Downhill.
Yeah, so that's why if you look at the back, you see the real little cassette. Most downhill bikes, they usually only have 6, 7, maybe even 8 speed. But on a trail bike, you'll usually have maybe 11 to 52, 10, 11, 12 speed cassette. And that's what's
Fern,
really
did you
cool
just
because-
say Shrimp Eagle Gold? Is that what you have on your stance, Fern? Can you let the people know you have a stance?
Yeah, so
Thank you, Jeff Pacheco.
I do have a giant stance, and it's a real fun bike. It's nice to pedal around. Something that you might want to keep in mind, when you are pedaling around, some bikes, they do come with air suspension in the front and air suspension in the rear. That is why it's always key. Check tire and pump pressure. So yeah, so this would be a shock pump. A lot of people use this to fill up their shocks. These are able to be attached onto your bike. What these would be used for is just if you're just riding and you need to check your tire or your shocks real quick, you can just slap it on and then fill it up real quick, so that way you don't overfill your shock and end up bouncing too much. So you could check it real quick before you
have
ride.
it just right
Well,
for your ride.
Yeah.
Talking about suspension is a matter in itself. So it used to be springs. So you would just bounce around no matter what. There's also your compression that you can just kind of tighten it up a little bit. Yeah. And now that there's air, you can adjust rebound. You can adjust dampening. You can stiffen it out. So there's a lot you can do with your mountain bike.
Yeah. Having an air suspension in the front and rear, it gives you more options to customize your bike. If it's the rebound, the dampening, however you want. If you want, you could even adjust your coil spring. I know you could twist those, and they do make it a little bit more stiff or softer, depending on how you ride. So your mountain bike is definitely built to your preference. So everyone's bike will feel different.
Fern, so you're trying to say that when you own a mountain bike, you need to have a professional staff to be able to work on your mountain
Yeah,
bike
definitely.
and properly adjust all your settings?
And to work with you.
Definitely, because there is
Fern,
different.
you know any shops?
Oh, BikeLane.
Oh,
Hey, where's that located again? Just
8513 Jamaica Avenue, right in between 85th and 86th. Come on by.
right in the center.
can we all agree that, I mean, we're still not done with mountain bikes, obviously.
Oh no.
But coming from with all of our other past episodes, which you can't see on YouTube now at Bike Talk with BikeLane or BikeLane Bicycle Store, that a bike is not just a bike anymore.
Oh my god.
You know, we have to let everyone know that when you're getting a bike or you getting into riding or getting into riding any bike, it's not just a bike. You're getting into a whole different lifestyle, a whole different zone. So I just want everybody to know everything that we're doing here is to just educate you guys on the different lifestyles that you can get into if you wanted to.
Yeah, so like let's say since there is so many different options of riding when you are riding a mountain bike, mountain biking and choosing the type of bike for you definitely takes some time.
Yeah,
That's why
of
it is
course.
100% key to always go to your local bike shop and check out what they have. Because you could want a downhill bike to pedal it, let's say through Forest Park, but now you feel like you're pedaling way too stiff. So you should have got the trail bike.
You have something or you purchase something that is not what you need.
Yeah,
So-
so that's why bike shops, they are real key to mountain biking, especially in New York.
There's a lot of shops that actually have demo bikes, and we don't have demo bikes, so a demo bike would be a bike that a customer can take out to go ride and test and see
You
how
can
it works.
test it out.
Unfortunately, we're in New York City, where the bike most likely won't come back. So we don't have that, but there are other options. So if you want to like ride a downhill bike, for example, you can go to your local mountain, which our local mountain would be Mountain Creek. You can go to Thunder Mountain in Massachusetts, and you can rent a bike. You can go ride their bikes, and you can see how they feel and how they perform and how you perform and how you feel, and you can make your decision from there.
Yeah, they have many different options, many different sizes. They'll definitely find something that'll work with you, because since you are going for the first time, if you want to get into it, you can definitely ask around for help. They'll definitely help you, because you want to enjoy what you're about to get into.
Yeah.
You don't want to ride something bad and be like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. It's terrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as we grow, the industry grows. So now there's a lot more bike shows coming around, and there's bike shows that you can visit as a customer, and that we're going to be at. Like they have the show this March, which is going to be amazing, and they have bike demos. You can go sit on a bike. I'm not sure if just consumer can walk through the door and demo a bike, by the way. So yeah, you would have to do your own research, but they will have demo bikes. They'll have parts on display that you can touch and feel. And then we also have BikeLane. We got downhill bikes, trail bikes, we got hardtails, we got dirt jumpers, we got Maurizio.
And we also have
Hey,
One of a kind. One of a kind.
Yeah, so every single mountain bike is built up to your preference, so I would definitely recommend a bike shop being one of, is where you would start at, definitely. Just talk to your local bike shop and just ask around. They'll definitely help you out, and without a problem, we'll be able to
And when he says they, he means us.
definitely.
Can we jump back on trail bikes really quickly?
Sure.
So this guy is a dual suspension trail bike. So it has shocks in the back. So to have a dual suspension bike is going to be a little slower than having a hardtail, which has no suspension in the back. So this guy's meant to handle a little more rougher terrain. So it's meant to kind of take some big drops and big jumps, so middle jumps and middle drops, not like a DH bike. And then there's also hardtail bikes, which are trail bikes. And a hardtail is something that we sell here every day.
Yeah, definitely. A hardtail is like a bike that, well, it's a bike that a lot of people will use for anything. Like me personally, I bought a hardtail and I street
What do you got?
converted it. I have a Cannondale Cujo 3. It is the black and blue model, and it's a hardtail. And basically, what I did it was I street converted it, put some street tires on it. So with mountain bike, you can choose that option of street kitting it out, as I would say, and just putting it, making it look real nice.
You said a street kid?
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
Definitely.
I had to hear that again. Street kid. That was good.
That's pretty much the great thing about these bikes is the customization. Like you say, you can customize your speed in the street. You can bring in your bike and you say you want to do the same thing. Definitely help you out because there's many options in tires,
Yeah.
handlebars, pedals, like these. So these will be your stock pedals that would come with a bike.
What type of pedals are those?
These are the Sunlight Flats platform pedals.
What are they made of?
These are made out of steel.
Steel.
Steel pedals. Now, say you want to go and upgrade your life. I got just the thing for you. We got X-Speedo pedals, aluminum pedals with.
Whoa, those are
metal
very
pins.
nice. You know how those are nice? I got them on my bike.
Oh, wait, so do I. So now, with these pedals, they're thinner, so they're lightweight.
So they're
those
low platform pedal.
low platform pedals, thinner, lightweight, and of course they have the metal pins which grip onto your shoe a lot better. So you know you don't want to be slipping around when you're doing some jumps, swerving in some dirt. You know you want to be locked in.
So how would you explain, let me ask you a question, since
Yes.
you mentioned pedals, and that's a perfect segue to a situation that happened.
You mean like Paul Blart Segway guy?
Yeah. Like, how would you explain everything you just said about the two different pedals to a normal, regular Joe that says, why are these pedals more expensive than these? They're just regular pedals.
Oh, I want to jump on this.
As
Oh,
you should.
Ooh, all right. Steel pedal.
Steel.
I can't explain why, right? But for whatever reason, the bike industry thought it was a really good idea to make pedals really tall. This is like a inch tall pedal.
That is
So when you have a taller pedal on your bike, it raises you up. If you ride your bike a lot, you feel it. Like, all right, you're sitting a little higher. Where a low platform pedal brings you down lower. So when you're lower, you're closer to your bike, and it gives you more bike control. You actually feel like the bike is more responsive now. So if you're riding through the trails, I do this motion. This is the ride through the trails motion. If you're riding and you're swerving around and you're jumping and you're just trying to get a better feel, a low platform pedal gives you a low center of gravity. And then we also get into crank arm lifts, which is a big deal also. Everything's a big deal.
Everything is a big deal, bro.
Geometry.
Wait, did we mention bottom brackets?
50.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But a low pedal gives you pretty much more bike control. So if you're an avid biker and you feel like, my bike feels a little clunky, it feels a little tall, it's like, you know what it's like? It's like a big tall Jeep that somebody raised up really high, taking
You
a
can
turn at
feel the
60 miles an
difference.
hour
Yeah.
versus a GTR that's really low to the ground with wide tires taking that turn at 60, looking like he's chilling.
And also with more high quality pedals, as with the Xpedo pedals.
Greg, can I recommend,
Yeah.
stop doing this, China.
Oh,
The pedals do have different style curves. So these different style curves are so your feet can basically lock in. So when you're riding on a mountain bike, you don't want to have a pedal that's made out of plastic that doesn't really have pins, because then if you're about to take a turn, then your feet's just gonna slip off.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You don't
So
want that to happen.
with these real nice Xpedo pedals, you get a nice curvy form to the pedal, so your feet is always going to be locked in, and that's what's the nice secure thing about those
but
pedals.
keep in mind as well that just in case, say if you don't want the low, inexpensive pedals that we just showed you, or maybe right now at the moment you cannot afford a certain nicer type of pedals like the Xpedo, then Ed is actually holding up a nice mid-range pedal style. Can you explain
Yeah.
this type of pedals?
This is a nylon platform pedal. I was gonna say plastic because I'm so used to saying plastic. They're nylon. So nylon is just a tough plastic.
Tough.
So these guys are also low profile platform pedals that are made to be inexpensive so that you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money getting a magnesium or an aluminum pedal. It's still a sealed bearing pedal. It still has metal replaceable pins with an aluminum spindle. So this guy will still give you the awesome feel, but it'll have a little more flex. And if you bash it really hard on a rock, it can break.
Right.
But
So it's not as heavy and it's not as light as you would want it. It's nicely balanced in the middle.
it's in the
For
middle.
those who are looking for a nice, inexpensive,
High quality.
high quality.
High performance.
But since we're on the subject of pedals, we need to talk about how a lot of people don't put a lot of mind into their pedals.
They don't put a lot
And
of
that
miles
kind
on
of
it.
blows my mind.
Yes.
Nobody finds it a big deal. They just think like, oh, my foot's slipping off, I'll just readjust it.
Mhm.
You know, you just get used to like having to put it back on. It's like when you're sleeping and your blanket keeps falling off because it's
right,
too
no,
small. You're like,
it's-
I'm so cold. It's the same thing. Like it's uncomfortable. So if you get the right pedal, and now pedals come in so many different widths as well. By the way, they come in huge pedals. I have the stamp pedals, the Crank Brothers, the huge, extra large. So it feels like I'm on the ground. So I never have to readjust my foot because the pins are so sharp and the pedal's so wide that it just stays there. That's it. I'm
I
comfortable.
love those ones.
And if you're riding around and you're aggressive, if you're a Mr. Frankie who's cranking up Cypress Hills, putting all this torque down, you don't need your foot slipping off,
It's the
and all of a
worst.
sudden you lose all your momentum. So road bikes, they use clips, they get locked in. Mountain bikes use pins. There's some mountain bikers, by the way, that
Yeah,
do
that
use clipless
clipless
pedals.
Yeah.
Which my preference is no clipless.
Yeah,
Because
that's
You
kinda,
want
you cannot bail. Your bike is coming with
Yes.
you if you're gonna fall.
Unless you know you got super
Unless you're
quick
really good.
reflexes.
Absolutely.
unless
But-
you are really good, yeah.
If you are riding clipless, there is ways to stop before you do go off for the trail, and that is called hydraulic brakes. So these are the Shimano BL MT400s. These are more of the basic beginner entry level hydraulic brake, and the difference between the difference between a mechanical disc brake and hydraulic disc brake is that you won't have to worry about anything getting inside of your cable. If you're riding through the dirt, you won't have to worry about the grittiness in the brake. You won't have to worry about adjusting your brake pads.
Why? What's in it? What's the difference between a regular
So-
mechanical and hydraulic brakes, bro? Let us know.
So, class is in session, by the way. Hydraulic basically
You
means
go over that.
that inside of the brake there is a little canister. Inside of the canister, it holds oil. Through the housing, it pushes the oil through.
What kind of oil is it? What kind of oil
Mineral
can they
oil.
use, actually?
Mineral Shimano oil. Right over here would be the little canister where all the excess oil is held, and through the cable it is pushed into the round cylinders at the caliper, at the piston. So that way you always have a constant flowing motion of oil, and you don't have to worry about your brakes ever giving up. Hydraulic brakes, they will basically push through almost anything.
Oh, wait, don't we have to talk about since we're talking about brakes, brake pads?
Ooh, brake pads, they do run a long way.
So we haven't touched on all of the mountain bikings yet, but
Not
every
yet, but
every discipline of mountain biking uses its
specific.
specific brake pad.
specific
Thank you.
brake pads,
I had a
yes.
little frozen moment.
let's rewind that. So every specific mountain bike uses their
Specific brake pad. Bam. So what Fern pulled out is gonna be Shimano's kind of entry-level hydraulic brake. These are gonna come with resin pads. So a resin pad's gonna be kind of your everyday pad. So it's a low heat, high dust, but lots of stopping power brake pad. So when you have a downhill bike, for example, you want something that can hold a lot of heat since you're going so fast. Just like in your race car, you get ceramic pads. That's something like this, guys. So a ceramic pad or a semi-metallic pad, which is for your downhill bike, which is what I would recommend, is a high heat pad that's going to give you maximum amount of stopping power under pressure and under heat.
Yeah.
And then when you go down to trail bikes, you would use
more of the organic pads, which they have way better stopping power, and every time basically you stop, you will always have the nice little.
what a good way to express
Yeah,
that.
the organic pads, they are real nice and sticky, so you will always feel the stop. So if you use, like, let's say you used regular brake pads, like these resin brake pads on the Shimano on a downhill bike, they will heat up so much that you'll be pressing your brakes and they're like, why am I not stopping? Why am I not stopping? And that's because your brakes are basically overheating, and now you have
No way of stopping.
yeah. So
Just straight downhill.
A lot of prayer is going on today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And skill. Prayer and skill.
So, I think we gotta jump back to trail bikes and hardtails. Because hardtails aren't just mountain bikes, as we were talking about, they're kind of everyday bikes. But the feel of a trail bike is kind of it's pushed everything else along. Because from mountain bikes, from trail bikes, from hardtails, we have hybrids that have evolved from them. We have dual sport bikes that have evolved from them. So they've kind of pushed the industry kind of like blossoming out. Like everything is coming out of like.
They say that trail bikes, it's like almost like the perfect balance of. It's good for climbing and also descending as well. It just has that nice, perfect feel and perfect balance because of the geometry.
Not steep descent.
Right. But descending either way. So it's a good bike to have. Especially, would you consider that a good starter bike if you was
for
thinking
sure.
about it?
Yeah,
That'll
definitely.
definitely get you into the feel of riding trails, being in the forest and all that.
Right.
You know, that
With a good efficient bike.
Yes.
Even though we're in the city, we're pretty lucky. We're lucky enough to have Forest Park, which is our backyard
Right
right
there.
behind us,
Backyard.
which is great for beginner mountain bikers who want to travel around.
Yep.
So according to the Parks Department, you're not supposed to go to the horse trails, by the way. It's legal. We're not telling you that you can. You should ride at your own risk.
Right.
But we do have Cunningham Park also, which is a designated mountain bike park. They also have dirt jumps, which we'll get to.
Yes.
Mountain bike parks in New York City are kind of limited to that. Prospect Park has a couple of jumps. But then if you go up, you have like Spring Ridge, then you have a couple of other mountains up there.
You have to go a lot higher, a lot more
Yeah.
uptown.
There's also Highbridge Park now that is in the Bronx, and they're doing lots of trails. They're expanding their network. So good work, guys. Good work, Jimmy and Cunningham. Thank you, guys. But beginning mountain biking in New York City is possible, and it's fun.
A lot of people complain because it's like, oh man, we gotta go all uptown towards the Bronx and everything. But they gotta realize when you're going up towards the Bronx, you're literally going upstate, like where you have more mountains and you have more hills.
Yeah.
Like where we're at, we do have Forest Park and others that we can go to and travel. But if you really want to get a really good experience, you have to travel. You have to go and experience that.
That's
And-
anywhere you are, but for
Right.
people in the city, they just hate driving. Like, it's traffic.
So this actually happened in the summer. I was actually riding through Forest Park, and I noticed that trail that Ed actually showed me a while ago was actually closed, and a new trail was actually opened up. So I don't know if this is specifically for the riders that do go through those trails, but I do like that they are working on the trails and that there is something happening. If it's just clearing it up, if it's just like actually setting a trail down for other riders, that is pretty cool, and it's gonna help us out a long way.
Man, can you guys imagine if the Forest Park Commissioner actually let us make Forest Park as cool as Cunningham and just make nice designated trails for mountain bikes?
I was
There's a
gonna
lot of
get into
space.
that because with this type of biking, there's a lot of people that want to do that. They want to get in there, want to work on the trails, you know, make it fun for everybody to visit. Because, you know, you don't want to say...
Trees make people happy.
Yes.
People need to be in the woods more riding their bikes instead of driving around causing traffic and causing chaos.
It's good
I
for
mean,
mental
even
health.
if you're gonna go into the trails in Forest Park, we definitely recommend you go in there with a efficient bike though. Don't go in there with just a single speed thinking that you're gonna have a great time and then come back over here and say, I got a flat because I was in the
Well,
trails.
a single speed, you mean like a fixie?
Like a fixie
Alright,
bike, like a
cool.
single
There's-
speed.
There's also
fixie
single
bike.
speed mountain bikes.
There are,
Cyclocross.
there are,
Yes.
definitely.
Track across. I need to throw that in there. I mean,
Wait, that is-
cyclocross is technically a mountain bike.
Right.
That's confused. It's a road bike, but it's a mountain bike. You know.
Right.
It's like that. Is cyclocross pretty much that first guy who got off the road into the dirt? With their road
It's
bike.
like it's road bike entry level mountain bikes. Like
Yeah.
I like to go fast and I like very lightweight bikes, but I enjoy the trails. I
Absolutely.
enjoy the dirt under my feet and not just
And
flat.
This is
lands.
why mountain biking categories need to expand. There needs to
And
be.
there's nothing wrong with that. We
Yes.
have one over here, the giant XTC green and black. actually really nice. You should check it out at BikeLane. We're here every day except for Wednesday. What?
Next style of mountain bike. How about some cross-country bikes?
I was gonna lead into that.
So,
So,
please take the lead.
wait, would you say the cyclocross and cross country kind of go hand in hand when saying light trail riding?
Yeah.
So pretty much basically with cross country bikes, you want to stay lightweight because you are going to, well, it's in the name, cross country. You are going to be carrying your luggage with you, say for people that like to go camping. So
They
with these,
consider it as an original form of mountain biking. 'Cause
Right.
That's what they used to do.
Yeah.
That's where the road bike came from. But
Yep.
you'd be carrying your stuff if you're traveling on your cross-country bike.
Yeah.
Just people buy the cross-country bike just for
yeah,
sport.
just metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
But the majority of people that like to do cross country, there is a lot of different mounts that you can get with these bikes. You know, rags, front rags, pannier bags, whole lot of stuff. It all works with these kind of bikes to help you carry your stuff, go the longer distance, and feel comfortable while doing it.
Let's talk about the feel of a cross-country bike. So the sporty cross-country bikes are going to be feeling like a mountain bike. I mean a mountain bike, a road bike.
Yeah.
So they put you in a really low position. So your arrow position
Yeah.
is going to be just kind of reached over so that you have the wind at your back kind of tucking you in and you're just pedaling as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Getting
Straight.
hardcore. Those guys get hardcore.
Yep.
Those guys are usually clipped in, usually super low, and hustling through the trails. They even yell at you, "Get out of my way!" And I'm like, "Whoa!"
You know, a lot of
Like a hit.
a lot of times we use like the term arrow position, but a lot of people don't realize that when we say arrow position is you're in a certain position where you're cutting the wind.
Oh yeah.
That's what that means. Just
Cutting
like
the wind, not cutting wind.
not cutting wind. Like a lot of times people hear certain terminologies that we say, and I like to always let people know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "What? What are you talking about? Arrow?"
What is
Yeah,
this arrow in that
cutting
means?
the wind.
You're cutting the wind. You're in a certain position where it's making you go faster. That's why a lot of these guys, when they wear certain gears and everything, it's not because they want to try to look cool or fancy. They're wearing certain gears because that's what's helping them ride better, ride
Mhm.
faster, depending on the type of ride they're
Absolutely.
doing.
Yeah. And also like on a lot of cross country bikes, they do sit way lower,
Mhm.
and it's because they actually use a pretty cool stem. Like instead of the stem coming straight out or rising upwards,
Mhm.
it goes down, and the stem is more flat. It has more of a platform to it, and the bars, you still have pretty long bars, but you are real far down, and you don't have the accessibility of a dropper post. Most XC riders, I noticed that they do have their seat pretty high, and I would say that would be so that they could get the maximum amount of power with their legs, because I know that they do go through a street, and then they could go through let's say the beach, or maybe even trails. They do basically all around everything.
But what do you mean? You just mentioned a dropper post.
Yeah, let's get on to that.
Explain to them, what do you mean by a dropper post? Because
So-
every little explanation helps.
Yeah, so a dropper post, it would kind of go back to hardtails and also
Right.
trail bikes. Dropper posts are mainly used just for the accessibility, so that you don't have to get off of your bike to adjust your seat to make it go lower, or to even bring it up so you can
I
pedal
love those
faster.
type of seat posts, by the way.
Yeah, so let's
We
say
have one on here, Brad.
Should we show
Yes,
them?
sir.
Show them? I think I'll show them.
You might as well explain.
2, 1. That is what a dropper post does. It basically lifts the seat up for you. So if you're gonna, let's say you're gonna go up a little mountain and you want to get the maximum amount of pedal strength, then you would bring
No.
it up.
It lifts up the seat for you. So
Now
Here you go, young sir.
it's a hydraulic post, or it's run by cable. You just press your button and your seat can go up, and under your weight you can
It
set it
brings
back
it
down.
right
And you
back
can kind
down.
of set it anywhere in between. They're a lot heavier, and that's why XC riders don't really like using them. They go more for the lightweightness. And then the stem lengths is also just, it's one of those big deals that once you start really getting into your bike, you'll figure out what size stem you really want for the type of riding that
course.
you're doing. And that goes with everything else, with the handlebar width, the brake levers, the crank arm length, how much travel you want on your bike.
That's a lot of things that people don't take into account.
Just like with the pedals.
And
It's
that-
the same exact thing.
That's when you stop by your local bike shop.
And we'll let you know. We'll give you options. We'll show you different type of pedals where you could try it out.
I'm sorry. I want to throw something out there because we're talking about this, right? We're throwing out all this knowledge that we have because we live this. And then there's people that come in and be like, oh, you guys are in Jamaica Avenue and Queens? You know how to fix delivery bikes or baskets? Like, no. We can do it all.
Yeah.
And we're very proud to be here and do what we do. So check us out.
Yeah, definitely.
Come by anytime. Just know that any problems you may have, we're 100% here to help in any type of way. If there's something that goes a little too far that we think we can't handle, we'll make sure we find out if any one of us can handle it. And then we'll let you know.
Which is maybe like a flying unicorn you can't handle.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Which they are very beautiful, by the way. One of a kind things. But back to having the customization on your bikes with like the pedals and everything. You can also customize your seats, actually. Seat customization
God.
is very, very important. A lot of times people don't
I'm sorry, we can't do this. We can't do this. We have too many things to talk about.
Well, a lot of times people think that, oh yeah, how you know this one is better than this one? How you know that pedal is better than this one? You have to try it out. Everyone has their own type of preference.
So, I love this. I love that point. That's a great point. You know what else makes us so awesome? We actually ride our bikes.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
welcome.
we do.
So we try everything.
Mhm.
Most of the things that we sell, we ride.
Mhm.
So we know
Yeah.
what they feel like. I feel bad selling something and not knowing what it feels like, how it
Yes.
performs,
Like
and
these pedals.
how long it lasts. Exactly. Like those
Use
pedals,
these.
like these brakes, like this shock pump that we have in the back.
What a lot of people don't know is that we always say that we're making recommendations for you. At the
Yeah.
end of the day,
What's your title, Mr. Frankie?
I'm a recommendator.
Recommendator.
I am not a salesman. We are not salesmen. We're not selling you anything. We're not going in your pockets making you buy anything. We're making the right recommendations that we feel is our opinion will be something that you may need or you may want. And at the end of the day, it's up to you to make that decision. Such as for us, when we want to try something, what do?
We go out and try it.
We flip and try it,
Yeah.
bro. Like, I'm gonna tell you this, just like with the pedals. Maybe we didn't know about the Expedo pedals. What happened? Ed got some. Freaking Wilmer got some. And they're trying it out.
And now Fabian has some.
And
Yes.
Luis has some.
And so many people. And how do they know about it? Because they try it out. We even offer to let people see the bikes that we have. We all have several different style type of bikes. We're very proud of our bikes. We go out there and we be like, you know what? Check this out. This may be something for you.
You know what takes people back? When we come out to show them bikes, right? When somebody comes in and they want to buy a bike, like, hey, I want to buy my first mountain bike.
Yep.
We ask them a series of questions
Yes.
to kind of pre-qualify them to see what they actually want to do on their bike.
Yep.
And people are like, why are you asking me all these questions? Well, like, how are we supposed to know what you want to do and what's going to feel good for you? So we happen to be one of the shops. I know we're the best in 2020 for...
That announcement is coming very soon, but thank you very much to all you guys.
Yeah.
We're one of the shops that actually cares.
100%. We care because you know that we see that you can feel and you see the time we take to talk to you about anything. It doesn't matter if it's pedals. It doesn't matter if it's freaking spoke covers, spoke cover customization. It doesn't matter if it's grips. Let's get back into grips real quick, guys.
Oh,
I'm
no,
gonna tell you
no,
something about
stop.
grips. I'm gonna tell you something about grips real quick. Anybody can get any different type of grips. There are so
So
many different type of grips. You're never gonna know how they feel unless you get them, correct?
Unless you
There's
know.
BMX grips, there's ODI grips, there's Blackops grips, there's Merit grips. So there's race face grips. There's also different type of grips that I'm gonna recommend because I have them. Why I have them? Because I went out my way to do my research that we always tell everybody to do. You can do your own research and look up information about a certain type of anything. A
What
certain
are
type
these
of
grips?
anything. These grips I'm talking about are the GA2
Fat.
fat grips. Now, keep in mind, if you look these up, you're going to find GA2 grips, which are a normal, medium-sized type of grips. The fat ones are exactly what it is. They're nice and fat and filling. Nice, fat, and filling. I should do the commercial right
Nice,
now.
fat.
They give you more of a full palm. So if you
Full
have
palm.
big hands or longer fingers, when you hold your handlebar, you
You're
feel
going
like
to feel
you're
the difference.
digging your fingertips into your palm. Where if you
Yes.
have a fatter grip, can have a full grip without having to close your hand fully.
And it feels fantastic.
Which, at the end of the day, you're so comfortable and it gives you so much more control.
So I have to really throw this out there because I tried the regular GA2s and they were fine, but there was something about them that it wasn't what I wanted on my type of bike, on my type of feel. So I told Ed, let's check out these fat ones. And guess who else got these, by the way?
Who? Who got those?
Boom!
I got them.
He felt the differences. You
Because
could feel
Frankie
it.
got them.
But
And
you
he
can
rode them and I was like,
feel
whoa,
it.
these are amazing.
Yes.
And now we sell them.
And the only way to actually feel anything is to actually go out, get them, and try them. GA2 Fats, they're German made, they feel fantastic. By Ergon.
What are they again?
Get them here.
J2 Fats.
GA2 Fats.
Actual mountain bikes. So, XC bikes, so we were just talking about cross-country bikes.
Yes.
We talked about the geometry, lightweightness,
We
stab
spoke about
ankles,
trail.
trail, enduro.
Should we get into like rigid? What do you think about the rigid?
Well, that's also kind of just something that's specific to what somebody wants to do with their bike. So a rigid bike is a bike that has no suspension. So there's rigid XC bikes. So you can have a rigid trail bike. I know the guys that love their rigid trail bikes.
They're a lot lighter,
Actually,
lighter in weight.
that is how most mountain biking actually started. They
Oh,
didn't start
absolutely.
with no suspension, no
Oh,
front
yeah.
suspension, no air suspension in the rear.
Mhm.
They started off with straight steel fork and steel frame.
Rigid bikes are actually really, they have little maintenance. You don't have to worry because there's a lot less to actually deal with
Yeah.
than other type
Yeah,
of mountain
shocks,
bikes.
So
suspension
there's a
forks,
lot of
springs.
in-betweens now also with the rigid bikes. So there's
Oh,
rigid flat, fat bikes.
Mhm.
There's rigid plus bikes, so the wider the tire, the less pressure, the kind of little bounce it gives you. So the industry's getting creative
Right.
with biking, which is amazing. So we tend to try a little bit of everything. Like Fern's Ujo, which you didn't mention, is a plus size bike, so it has a fatter tire than usual. So it's a low pressure, fatter tire, which gives you a little kind of smush. So it's like fake suspension, but it's
Mhm.
Right.
suspension. It's something.
Right.
And something like that is nice for pedaling around the neighborhood and for going off-roading if you like.
And they're also very inexpensive as well. They're not as expensive as like a full
Oh.
suspension type of bike.
Forks have gotten crazy in
Oh
shops.
yeah.
So like if you want to get yourself a nice air fork now, you can be spending like $500-600 on a mid-level fork. You can even $1,000 plus.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of people that get scared by numbers when they start mountain biking. They're like, whoa, this is an expensive hobby. And
Right.
it is. Just like anything that you really want to get into, you gotta be ready to invest
Yes.
into it.
You have to invest. You're not buying anything. You're investing in yourself and in your type of lifestyle.
And in the fun.
It-
Oh my
100% fun.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's fun, but keep in mind, if you're putting a certain amount of money in something that you really want to do, right? And nobody's saying go all out there and ball out. Not everybody could ball out, right or wrong.
Right.
But if you're going to put a certain amount into something, make sure that it's good quality, high quality. Imagine you go out there and you get one of these department store bikes. And this looks so extra cool. This has dual suspension. I paid $50 for it. And you're going downhill. What is going to happen, guys? Please let them know.
Something is
Well,
definitely going
we're not the first ones to think of this. There's a lot of YouTube videos that I have watched of guys going to Walmart and Target and getting bikes and taking
And
them through
testing
the
it out.
trails, or even going to the skate park on their BMX bikes. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I've seen that. That was our boy Anthony Panza.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's in that.
Yeah, and these bikes aren't made to do anything. They'll have stickers on them that say all mountain, or they say
Right?
downhill ready.
No,
and
no,
oh my
actually,
god, it's so
Hill
deceiving.
ready.
You see a downhill bike, but it has that little sticker. This bike is not meant to be used
Oh yeah.
on dirt
They'll have a little
trails.
warning
That's
because
so
you know nobody
sad.
wants to get sued after somebody dies on their bike. That's a mountain bike.
It definitely can't happen. And that's
So,
actually a sad thing.
I
to
feel like
see.
I need to thank you for the people for bringing that up because your safety is the most important thing. When you're mountain biking, it's dangerous. It's not just a casual stroll through the woods. If you're getting
Nope.
crazy, if you're jumping and going off of rocks and boulders and going on the edge of cliffs, you need to have something that's going to be able to perform.
Yeah.
And
That
produce the best results.
that also goes back to the style of not style, but the quality of parts that you have.
Yeah, of course.
I did notice how you said that every part that you get, it will affect your bike. So
Yes, it
if you
does.
get a beginner's spring fork, it will feel 100% different from an air fork, because the air fork, it does have more damping and it does feel a little bit smoother. So So if you're gonna trail ride with a spring fork, you're definitely gonna feel that trail stiff, and you're not getting no type of fun out of it. But with the air fork, everything is more nice and smooth.
Right.
So you flow through the trails rather than with the spring fork. It feels.
All right.
Basically, if you want to get the best results, you gotta spend that pretty penny.
Yeah, it's like having blown trucks on a Honda Accord.
Oh my God.
Which Fern has.
All
right, all right.
For you.
Let's talk about the child. I love that it kind of just ended up in the middle. The child of a trail bike and a downhill bike, which is an enduro bike.
Enduro.
What's another name for an enduro bike?
Oh.
You got this. All mountain.
All mountain. That's what damn. He's looking at it.
So an enduro bike looks like a trail bike, but it's meant to handle a lot more aggressive riding, like downhill riding.
That's
Yeah.
why when you see these bikes there, you might think aggressiveness.
Yeah. So that also goes back to suspension, also, because with more of a downhill bike, you have like 200 millimeters of travel, 220, and then with trail bikes.
We mentioned travel twice now. I've been counting.
What is
and
this
we haven't
travel?
explained travel.
Traveling to Massachusetts?
All right.
I got this. So the travel is how much space you have between your bike and your fork. So it's how much space, I'm going to get a
Demonstration, class session.
between, if we're talking about the fork, it's between the crown of your fork and your lowers. So it's how much stroke, how much suspension you have going into your fork. So on my bike, I have 130 millimeters of travel, and that's how tall my stanchions are here. So on an enduro bike, you have 150, 160, sometimes even 170 if you want to get crazy. And that gives you a lot more room to do big, crazy stuff.
That's what they're meant for. They're pretty much meant to be bigger jumps.
Absorb the impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and not only that, just more challenging.
Yes.
I was trying to find the word, but more challenging situation.
Yeah, it's like if you don't want to go all out into downhill, you could go ahead and get yourself an enduro bike if you don't want to go the step lower and then get into the trail. So you have kind of in the middle.
It was created kind of to eliminate the need for two bikes. For trail riding and downhill, you got an enduro bike that can do it all.
Right.
But they feel very different. So if you want to try an enduro bike, you should definitely go rent one so you can see how it performs. Because on the trails, it's going to be a little more sluggish than a trail bike, and on the mountain, it's going to be a little more unstable than a downhill bike.
It is meant to take you uphill nice and smoothly, but where it shines is when it goes down,
Absolutely.
and it's gonna go down.
Like downhill?
I'm getting the timber.
All right. I feel like we touched on the basic mountain bikes, and then we got dirt jumping,
The side project.
which is everybody kind of jumps on everything now. All types of bike can jump. People are doing crazy stuff on their road bikes. They're jumping big jumps
Did I mention Dragon Bros?
and travel across.
Let's throw it out there that you got to give some of these younger folks and these younger generations what they're doing with normal mountain bikes that we have here. A lot of these kids nowadays, you got to give them credit. They're actually doing crazy tricks with their mountain bike.
No, they're not doing crazy tricks.
No,
they're doing insane tricks.
But you got to give them props.
It's like something out of a video game.
They're innovating
They
the
make me feel
culture.
old.
They're
Yeah.
innovating. I mean, you look at one thing. This is meant to do this. It's meant to go down.
And they go nuts.
It's meant.
No.
No.
Oh my beverage.
And they're actually taking these bikes and they're customizing it to their liking to do what they want it to do, and they're making it their business to handle it.
Man, I just thought of another
I
one.
gotta give them props.
We just keep seeing, right? They're just gonna keep popping up. Trials riding, which is
Oh.
so cool too. So we'll go back to dirt jumping. Let's talk about trials
Let's talk
riding.
about trials.
So trials bikes come in different wheel sizes, 24, 26. 24 being the most popular because it can handle a little more. So it's kind of a BMX mountain bike.
Right.
So trials riding is very interesting to watch because it's just about balance. And these guys do some crazy
Oh
balancing
man,
stuff.
the craziness.
My
that they
man
do.
Danny Macaskill blows my mind
Man.
every time I watch his videos.
Go on YouTube and look him up. It's
Absolutely.
fantastic. Depending on who did the editing, he does some great videos.
It's
No,
so entertaining.
he really
It's
does.
I went to
It's
Frankie's house just to
beautiful.
watch videos with him one
It
time.
was
We were sitting there like
literally like this on the
what?
computer, like.
It's
speakers are blasting and everything, but depending on how it's done, it'll take you to a whole different world. Like at some point, we literally is like the
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Wow.
they get
That's
so
beautiful.
crazy, they even try to jump upstairs. Each
Very
step
technical.
at a time.
It's even difficult to explain, which is funny. I'm sitting here like, all right, how do you explain this?
You should.
Like, they're just balancing, jumping, doing crazy flips, 360s, everything you do on a BMX bike, but on a mountain bike, and mountain biking while BMXing, and it's amazing. Check it
Yes.
out. I can't
Look up
explain it.
Danny Maska. Also look up Sam Pilgrim.
There's
Sam Pilgrim is really nice.
Wilbur.
Wilmer has one coming out,
That-
but
yeah,
he'll be back after these messages.
Whitmer. His name is Whitmer.
Yes.
Whitmer.
Wilmer.
So he actually does. He rides mostly every style of bike,
Isn't that the guy
but
from the UK?
he is
Yeah,
from
rental
the
video.
UK.
Yeah.
He rides Trials bike and he gets from.
He also rides a
gets
trail
He gets
and
busy.
mountain
Just say
bike.
what it
Did you
is.
see
He
what
gets
down-
busy.
down-
Yeah, he
snow?
does.
Yeah, he was downhilling. He was trials riding his downhill bike. So he was in the streets jumping around on his downhill bike.
So you telling me he was doing a Maurizio? Like that's what he was doing.
But
Yeah,
he was
simple.
jumping this thing, which downhill bikes, by the way, are heavy. They range from like 30 to 40 pounds. They're tankers
Oh yeah.
compared
That's
to
tough.
anything else.
But if you can handle a downhill bike on the street like that, like effortlessly, imagine what you could do with everything else.
Yeah.
That's right.
Nothing.
Ultimate bike control.
So we give props to all you guys that do it, especially you, Mauricio. We love you, bro. All the hair color and all.
All right, dirt jumping. Dirt jumping has kind of evolved from, we spoke about this in the last episode actually with Ricky.
Yeah, we
Yes.
did actually.
So it evolved from BMXing
BMXing.
and from BMX racing. But now the mountain bikers have just taken it to another level.
Yeah, there's always going to be those individuals that's going to up the ante.
Yes.
And not
uh,
only for just the culture, for themselves as well, and just to do something different. Nobody wants to continue following the same trends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now anybody can, with their smartphones and all this amazing technology, just look up what's going on around the world and what people are doing on their bikes. And because of that huge advantage, like, I didn't have this advantage growing up. I just want to throw that out. That was very disadvantaged. I did not have Instagram showing me what the newest tricks are. And now that these kids see and adults see what they're doing, what everybody else is doing
Instantly,
around the world,
instantly.
I need to
they
try
can
it.
go, I can do that, and I can do this while doing that. And boof, now you have guys on their downhill bikes on the Rampage. I was watching Rampage videos earlier, by the way. And these guys are doing front flips off a flat. So they're riding off a cliff, front flipping their downhill bikes while they're in a tug and hander. And I'm like, what did you just do? You just jumped off a 100-foot cliff and let go of your handlebars while flipping your downhill bike.
It definitely takes a lot of practice and
Practice.
So I recommend
Practice.
everyone.
Let's
And
throw that out to everybody that just because these certain individuals, they make it look easy, they have, how do you say, bust their tush?
Oh yeah. So if I didn't see it, right? If I didn't have my phone to be able to watch
You
the video,
wouldn't believe
I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, no way, you just jumped off of that while doing that. So the generation is growing, but the bar that they're setting is something that still blows minds. It blows my mind.
That's good.
And thank you guys for all the
Thank you.
crazy hardcore shit.
When
Stop.
they do something like that, it tells you, I can do that.
Absolutely.
In your
And
head,
it
you're like,
builds the confidence.
Yes.
Like, oh man.
I don't think I can do that. But you
So,
see somebody else do it, so you get pumped. And
You
if you,
should go outside and ride.
yeah, you feel like, I want to do that too.
One of the newest dirt jumpers, he's been around for a while, but Nikolai Ragakin.
We're yakking.
And he rides a dirt jumper. So a dirt jumper is kind of a big BMX bike, 26 or 24 inch wheels, usually 26 now. And it has kind of a BMX look and feel to it, but it's a mountain bike. And the stuff that people can do on these bikes while doing big jumps is something that takes you to kind of just like a different plane. Like when you're watching, you're like, yeah.
Takes me to Narnia.
It's like watching a crazy movie that somebody just started editing and putting some crazy graphics into. Like, whoa.
That's hardcore.
And
It should be pretty easy for them to do it because if it's basically a 24 or 26 BMX frame but just a little bit bigger, that should mean that they would be able to lift up the bike and do
I
more
mean,
tricks
now-
quicker.
These are smaller than your most common mountain bikes, so that does give you
Yeah, they'll have like a 21-inch top tube or 22, and they'll have a
Closer
tight rear
wheelbase.
end. But just the fact that these guys are fighting gravity, and then they have to take their inertia and just kind of throw it up and flow with everything. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, my bike's doing this, but I'm gonna tell it to do that. And then if you start breaking down the science of doing a trick, it's really mind-boggling because I do tricks on my bike. Like, I ride BMX, I ride dirt jumpers, and when I do something, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Like, you build confidence when you start doing a trick. But then when you start doing something that's next level, you're trying to learn something new, you have to tell yourself, like, I can do this. You have to build the confidence, and then you have to figure out the science. Like, all right, when I do this or push my foot that way or twist my hand this way, my bike wants to do that, and I want my bike to do this. So now I have to turn my bike this way, put my fingers that way, turn my shoulders this way. And there's a lot of science to it, and the fact that everybody's figuring it out and kind of breaking down the science is something that makes me really proud. Like, that's really cool.
With these bikes, when you're riding, you're pretty much experimenting with everything.
You're messing with Newton's laws.
Yeah.
You're like, no. I'm going up. I'm going this way.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down. Up.
A lot of people, they do get like a little bit shy of doing these tricks just because when you're gonna do a backflip, you don't see yourself doing a flip. All you see is the motion blur.
You see the sky.
Yeah. So you see the motion blur real quick. So it also takes memory. So you have to know how to tuck your bars, how to lean back so that the bike can also go back with you. There is a lot of memory to doing tricks while on a mountain bike.
You know, it's a good example I like to tell people though. If you're gonna try something like that, say you want to do a front flip or you want to do a backflip or something, I always would recommend anybody when you're in a pool or a beach, go underwater and tuck your body in and do a front flip or even do a backflip and do like almost a barrel roll under the water and just feel that. Because that's what these guys literally feel.
Absolutely.
But there's like a lot more
So-
depth involved, if you know what I mean.
Like, when doing anything new, your body doesn't know how to feel to it. It's like, whoa, I've never done this.
Yes.
So that's what scares a lot of people. And there's people that have natural born fearlessness.
Right. They just
And
do
they're
it.
just like, oh yeah, it doesn't feel like anything, and they just do it, and they just progress so much faster than everybody else. And
That
there's, go ahead.
builds up your confidence because that satisfaction when you land that trick.
Oh yeah.
You're on top of the world. You can do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You feel like man.
And luckily now, like, everybody's, a lot of places and people are keeping up with the times. There's foam pits, there's airbags, there's bungee straps. Like, there's lots of creative things you could do to get your body used to different motions.
Yeah, and a lot of mountain bike parks, like I know Mountain Creek, was it, that implemented airbag?
They have an airbag.
Yeah, so now you can actually go to those parks and test your luck out, and if you land it, give you
No. We don't want it to be luck. Test your skills. Sharpen your skills. Sharpening your blade.
It's like what Wilmer said, the feeling of accomplishment when you do land any type of trick, it doesn't matter. It could be the most simplest thing. Jumping over a curb and you like didn't bust your ass, excuse my language. It's like it makes you want to continuously do it.
Absolutely.
When you get that feeling like, oh man, I did it, you want to keep doing it until you get better and better, higher and higher, faster and faster. It's a great feeling to have.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's like a feeling of euphoria. It's like you're
Yeah.
like entering another dimension of just happiness. You're like, wow, I'm so cool.
Yeah,
It's great.
And mountain biking has been around for so long, and the amount of tricks that have came out is like, from one trick, from just doing a bunny hop, that leads to so many other tricks. So basically, from learning this one trick, you're getting a base for so many other tricks. So you're learning as you go on, and that's why practice also is like one of the
Makes
main
perfect.
keys.
You know what we haven't touched on? What do you need to do all these things? We need the gear so that we can stay safe while riding our hardcore bikes.
Always.
Definitely.
Definitely number one, a helmet.
Yes.
Helmets are very important.
So there is different styles of helmets. We have
Full face helmets.
full face helmets. And we have more of the traditional style helmets that does have a lot of air pockets and does have a visor for people that do not like when the sun gets in their eyes.
So these guys are meant to be a lot more lightweight. They're not meant to kind of be on your head and bounce around. They're meant to sit really light, give you plenty of coverage. So this would be like a trail helmet or an enduro helmet. It sits really low on the sides and gives you protection.
If we're talking protection, talk about the full face.
Oh, that's full protection.
Full protection. See? This
So-
definitely what you
so-
need. God forbid, say you don't land that trick. Gotta stay protected.
If you choose to wear the helmet as is, or you can actually put goggles on there and you could wear the goggles
Protect
under
your
the
eyes.
helmet as well to protect your eyes.
Okay.
Some individuals like to do that. You know what I'm saying?
So, helmet, gloves are very important.
Yes.
Gloves are very
You don't want to get
important.
sweaty, slip.
Riding
Yeah.
shoes and the proper clothing is very important.
Very.
What's something you would wear with your clothing?
So it depends on the type of riding that you're doing. Let's say if you're doing some downhilling, you want something that's loose. You don't want, well, some people ride tight. But if you're loose, you feel a lot more ventilation going in, like ventilation. You feel more ventilated, like there's more air going in, you can breathe a little more. Whereas some people want to be a little more aero, so they might get a little tighter, but it's kind of just your style. It's what you choose to do.
Now,
If you choose to as well, you could also, like Maurizio used to do back in his youth, he used to wear the chest protector, the chest and
Oh,
back
you know what
protector.
else you can wear with that?
That's actually another option for you.
Ooh, snaps. We got box
pads.
racing knee pads.
You can also get shin guards. You know, there's a lot of protection you can get. So, you know.
I feel like we could talk about 2 hours of just protection.
We
Yes,
could definitely continue
Because that has
talking
a
about it.
lot.
But we're gonna save that for another episode, guys. So let's do a quick recap of mountain bikes. Let's different type of mountain bikes. What kind of? Give me a mountain bike.
So we started at enduro.
We also have
Cross country.
We have trail bikes,
we have rigid bikes.
We also
Downhill.
There we go.
dirt jumpers,
hardtails,
trials bikes.
and there's so many more. We also have different type of components
Yep.
of the mountain bikes.
Hydraulic
Some
brakes.
that we mentioned.
Hydraulic brakes. We
Shock
also
pumps.
have grips.
We have places to go ride your bikes. Oh, we didn't even mention you can go to singletracks.com or Bike Reg to check out bike races and bike events if you guys want to go ride. And the places you need to go ride your bike would be in your local area, so you could definitely check everything out, meet the community riders, and just get along with everybody.
And if you're planning on getting into any of these what do you call it? Disciplines, definitely go on YouTube, look up the certain type that you want to get into, see what people can do, see what you want to try to do, influence yourself.
You could also
Yeah.
check out different websites for different type of articles. I would definitely look into bikeexchange.com, and there's a wonderfully written article by Sheldon Brown. Look up him, sheldonbrown.com as well.
Sweet.
And also, if you guys are in the Woodhaven area and you guys do want to ride with us, we're always in for a couple extra riders. So if you guys do want to pass on by, we're always here.
Downhill!
Guess what we
Yeah.
got locally? Forest Park right
Of course.
Cut it out.
But this has been another installment of Bikes Up with BikeLane. My name is Fern.
I'm Frankie with a Y, not an I-E.
Wilmer with an ER.
And my full name is actually Edwin.
Oh, thank you guys. Come back next
Thank you for
time.
joining
See you guys later.
Hopefully we helped you out.
Peace.
Hey, wait. If you have the Q's, we have the A's. Stuff on that.
Oh my God.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment.
Yeah.
Boom bow.
No. Did you see the big red?